All right, get ready because today we're going deep on something pretty fascinating.
I'm intrigued already.
We're going to be exploring the story of the Prophet Noah, peace be upon him, but
Okay.
through a lens you might not expect. Like, have you ever thought about Noah's Ark and manifestation?
Manifestation. Not really.
Yeah, that whole idea of turning desires into reality.
Interesting. So we're talking.
Our source material is this online video. It's
Okay.
actually in Hindi.
Oh, wow.
And it makes some pretty surprising connections between this ancient story and, this really modern concept of manifestation.
So, like, are we going to see if Noah can teach us
Exactly. Like, can Noah's experience teach us?
how to manifest our goals?
Yeah, about achieving our goals.
That's a cool angle. I'm ready to dive in.
So the video starts off setting the scene, just the basic story of Noah.
Right.
And it talks about how he preached for 950 years.
950 years.
950 years.
Wow. That's some serious dedication.
I know, right? Facing constant resistance and ridicule.
You really got to believe in what you're doing to...
That's some serious commitment.
Yeah, to keep going for that long.
But the video doesn't just gloss over that detail.
Right.
It actually points to it as like the first takeaway.
Like what, perseverance?
Unwavering dedication to your goals, even when things are tough.
Oh, I like that. Even when the going gets tough. Persevere.
Exactly.
But it's interesting. It doesn't present it as some kind of superhuman feat. Like, how did Noah do that?
Right.
Instead, it suggests that his commitment came from, this deep inner conviction, unshakable belief in his message. Makes you wonder, what strategies did he use to maintain that level of faith
Yeah.
for almost a millennium? Are there any, like, parallels we can draw to our own lives?
Exactly.
When we're, working towards goals that take a long time and a lot of dedication?
It's a great question because instead of just being like, be like Noah and never give up, the video is like encouraging us to dig deeper, to consider the mental and emotional tools Noah might have used to stay the course. Like, what were his daily practices?
Yeah. How did he deal with doubt?
What were his coping mechanisms for dealing with discouragement? I mean, 950 years is a long time.
Right.
To stay focused on anything.
It really is.
Yeah.
So if we can understand those underlying principles, maybe we can adapt them for today.
Right.
For our own modern challenges.
Okay, so we've got unwavering commitment. That's like our first building block.
Okay.
The video then moves on to the ark, which God commanded Noah to build.
Right.
And this is where things get really interesting in terms of manifestation, because building an ark, especially back then,
Yeah, would have been
seemed impossible.
a pretty impossible task.
Right. But did Noah just like sit back and pray for the best? Not quite.
No. I mean, that's where this idea of pairing faith with action comes in. The video really emphasizes that manifestation isn't just positive thinking.
It's not wishful thinking.
Or wishful thinking.
Yeah.
It's about aligning your actions with your intentions.
So Noah had faith.
Huge faith.
Yeah.
But he also, like, rolled up his sleeves.
Yes.
Got to work. Used his skills and his knowledge to make it happen.
To bring the ark to life.
Exactly.
So it's like faith is the fuel,
Okay.
but action is the engine.
Yeah.
That drives you forward.
You got to have both.
But I do have a question. Like, the video's in Hindi, and it's focused on Noah,
Right.
which is a story most people associate with, Abrahamic religions.
Mm-hmm.
Is manifestation like a thing in Hinduism, or is this a newer way of looking at it?
That is a great question. And honestly, I think it kind of speaks to how universal certain concepts are. While the word, manifestation might be more common in New Age
Right.
or Western self-help.
Like Western thought.
Yeah. The basic idea of aligning your thoughts, beliefs, actions to get what you want are found in spiritual traditions all over the world.
So maybe this video is highlighting that, even though the language or the specific practices might be different.
Right.
This core idea of like shaping your reality through conscious effort is something that resonates like across cultures throughout history.
That's cool.
Exactly.
It's like a universal human desire, maybe.
And that's what makes this deep dive so fascinating, right? We're taking this story that's often seen
Right.
through a very specific religious lens
Right.
and exploring it
Through a whole new framework.
through a totally different framework.
That's what I love about these deep dives. Always something new to learn.
All right, so we've got unwavering commitment, We've got aligned action. And this idea that manifestation might be way more universal than we initially thought. But the story of Noah doesn't end with the ark, right? There's still the whole flood.
Oh, yeah, the flood.
Which is where things get even more metaphorical.
And really relevant, I think.
Yeah, relevant.
To us today.
To our lives.
Can't wait to hear where this goes.
I know. I'm excited, too. So we'll dive into all that in part 2.
Sounds good. Welcome back. So before... how important it is to pair faith with action.
Yeah.
But I think, we can't just ignore the fact that even with all of that, the story doesn't, shy away from the negative stuff. Like, remember, most people rejected his message.
And they mocked him, right?
They even mocked him.
After 950 years.
Makes you wonder, how did he deal with that, all that negativity, for so long?
Right. I mean, after 950 years of preaching, I think I'd be a little discouraged.
At least a little.
So how does the video address that? Does it tell us to just ignore the negativity?
Not exactly. The video actually frames this resistance as an inevitable part of the journey.
Yeah.
Especially when you're doing something, out of the ordinary.
Yeah.
Or when you're challenging the status quo.
Which Noah definitely was doing.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
I mean, his message was pretty radical for his time. He's basically saying, hey, we need to completely change our way of life.
It's no wonder people pushed back.
Right. So it makes sense that he faced opposition.
So instead of looking at negativity like a sign of failure or a reason to quit, the video's saying maybe it's a sign you're on the right track.
That's one way to look at it. It's about, how we see these challenges. Instead of roadblocks, what if they're opportunities?
Yeah.
For growth, tests of our commitment.
It reminds me of that saying, like, the obstacle is the path.
Oh, I like that.
Maybe facing resistance, even rejection, can make our vision stronger, more focused.
Totally. And that brings us back to the flood.
Okay.
The video uses this event not just as some kind of divine punishment, but also like a metaphor.
A metaphor for what?
For all the challenges we face. The ups and downs of life.
Like every day.
It's suggesting that, just like Noah, we have to build our own arcs to navigate the rough waters.
Okay, so the ark as a metaphor. I like that. But what does that mean? Practically. Are we talking tangible things like skills and resources?
I think it's both.
Or is it something more intangible, like mental toughness?
It's both. The video points out that Noah's Ark wasn't just some random structure.
Right.
It was meticulously planned, built with specific materials.
It's like he used all of his knowledge, his faith, his understanding of nature.
Exactly.
It's like the saying, preparation meets opportunity.
Yes. And that's where manifestation gets really interesting. It's not just about wishing for something to happen.
Yeah.
It's about getting yourself ready.
Yeah.
Mentally, emotionally, practically. So when the opportunity comes knocking,
you're ready to grab it. Or ready. But the video is all about Noah.
Yeah.
So how do we take this ancient wisdom and use it today? I mean, we're not building literal arks.
Right. But we face metaphorical floods all the time.
Oh, I see what you mean.
It could be anything. A career change, health problems, a relationship ending.
Just the stress of modern life.
Even that, yeah. The question is, what kind of ark do we need to weather those storms?
Okay, so let's get specific. What would a modern ark look like?
Well, first, I think you got to figure out what your flood is. What's the biggest challenge in your life right now?
So self-awareness is the first step.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You got to know what you're dealing with before you can build anything.
Okay, that makes sense.
Yeah.
So once we know our flood, then we can start building, right?
Exactly. And this is where it gets personal. For some people, it might be learning new skills, gaining knowledge.
Yeah.
For others, it might be building relationships.
Yeah.
Or becoming more resilient.
It's like having a toolbox, a personalized set of tools to deal with life's challenges.
I like that. And just like Noah's Ark had different sections for different animals and supplies, our modern-day arks might need different compartments too. Different tools for different areas of our lives.
Different compartments. Yeah, I like that.
It's also important to remember that Noah wasn't alone.
Right.
He had his family, his followers. They worked together. They supported each other. They were all on this journey together.
It wasn't just a solo mission.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So it's not just about building your own ark. It's about recognizing the strength we find in community.
We're stronger together.
Absolutely. And it's not just about receiving support. It's about giving it too. Contributing our unique skills and perspectives to this collective arc of humanity.
Wow, that's getting pretty deep.
It is, isn't it? We've gone from ancient stories to modern-day challenges and back again.
I think we've given our listeners a lot to think about.
I agree. We've covered a lot of ground. But I think there's one more piece of the puzzle.
Oh, okay. What's that?
Purpose. We need to talk about purpose.
You're right. Building an arc, whether it's a real one or a metaphorical one, you need to know why you're doing it.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So how does the video connect purpose to manifestation?
Yeah, good question.
Well, that's what we'll explore in the final part of our deep dive. Because ultimately, the best arcs are built not just for survival, but for something bigger, something beyond just our own needs and desires.
All right, so we've talked about a lot in this deep dive. Noah's commitment, faith, and action, and that idea of the ark as like this metaphor for, dealing with challenges.
It's been quite a journey.
Yeah, but before we finish up, I'm really curious about this purpose thing you brought up.
Right.
Like, how does the video connect that to manifestation?
Okay. So remember, Noah's Ark, it wasn't just built for him.
Yeah, it was for his family, the animal.
It was meant to save something much bigger, like all of life, really.
Right.
The potential for a fresh start after the flood.
So his own goal, it was part of something way bigger.
Exactly. It wasn't just an escape pod.
Yeah.
Right? It was a vessel for the future of humanity.
Wow.
And I think that's where we get this really key insight into manifestation. When what we want personally lines up with something beyond just us, that's when things really start to happen.
It's like you're not just wanting something for yourself, you're wanting it for everyone.
Exactly.
Like you're tapping into this bigger energy source.
Yeah, you're riding a wave, not just swimming against the current.
So it's not that personal goals aren't important, right?
Right.
But the video seems to be saying they become even more powerful when they're connected to something bigger than ourselves.
Exactly.
So how do we do that? Like find that sense of purpose and use it to help us manifest.
I don't think there's a one-size-fits-all answer.
Okay.
But it probably starts with looking inwards. Asking yourself some tough questions like, what are your values? What are you truly passionate about? What mark do you want to leave on the world?
So before we even set goals, we need to understand our own internal compass.
I think so.
Okay, and then?
And then it's about finding ways to act on those values. It could be through your work, your relationships, anything really.
It's like building a bridge between who you are inside and what you do out in the world.
That's a great way to put it.
And maybe that's how we create that alignment that lets us really manifest things.
I think you're right. And, the video never tells us what that purpose should be.
Yeah, it doesn't give a specific path.
It just shows us that aligning ourselves with a bigger vision, that's powerful stuff.
So it's up to each of us to find our own way to contribute, right?
Absolutely.
Our own way to build that arc for humanity.
Weaving behind something good, something that lasts.
Wow. We went from an ancient story to this modern idea and back again.
It's been quite the deep dive.
I think we gave everyone a lot to think about.
I hope so.
So if there's one thing to take away from all this, it's that manifestation isn't just about getting what we want. It's about aligning our desires with something meaningful, something bigger than ourselves.
Building our own arcs, not just to survive, but for a future we believe in.
I love that. So everyone listening, keep exploring, keep asking questions, and keep building those arcs. We'll see you next time for another deep dive.